I'm Ed McLaughlin. I'm the incumbent in District 34. I was born and raised on a farm near Spearfish. I attended the laboratory school there, high school, college at Black Hill State, and then had the opportunity to go out and teach for a while, then go on into the military. I was an instructor in Officer Candidate School in San Antonio in the Air Force. I served 25 months during the Korean conflict. I came out as a captain, and then I went to graduate school at Greeley, Colorado, and received my master's and doctorate degree in public school administration. I was director of student teaching at Black Hill State and principal of the laboratory school. Went to Lead. I was school superintendent there. I've run some basic administrative units, planning centers here in Rapid City, intermediate between the local school districts and the State Department of Education. So education has been a vital part of my life. I'm interested in that. My reason for running is primarily to make a difference. I've had the opportunity to serve as 20 years as an insurance agent for the Prudential. I've had the opportunity to own and operate a ranch, so I know what it is to make decisions relative to payrolls and that private sector. As far as what it takes to be a good legislator, I think the most important thing is to have the background and the experience necessary, but to be able to listen. You need to know what your constituents are thinking and to recognize that perhaps no one person has all of the answers. And you need to do what is best not only for your district, but also what is best for the entire state of South Dakota. And having served as mayor and on the city council, I've run as a nonpartisan ballot. I'm not a partisan type of an individual, and as Gary has commented, I think that the ideas that flow are important regardless of where they come from, and I feel that one of the most important jobs that I have is to take that interest from the local level and then provide the leadership to see that it's implemented at the state level and make a difference for our District 34. It is one of the most important things and one that we need to address. I don't think there's anyone here in this room that does not feel that we shouldn't increase the funding for education and do a better job of providing for the students. The problem becomes one of finances. It becomes one of not just priorities within the state, but as most of you are well aware of, the governor runs on no increase in taxes. Most of the candidates run on no new taxes. Both parties are very, very gun-shy about coming out and proposing a tax increase, whether it's sales tax, property tax, any kind of a tax. And let's be very candid and very straightforward on it. Unless we're going to be able to get additional revenue, there's a limit to how much we're going to be able to provide in the way of increased educational funding. Right now, approximately 50% of the total state general fund budget goes for education, both higher ed, VOTEC, and K-12. Now, it's often argued that that percentage of K-12 has been declining. And with many statistics, you can do whatever you want with it. However, the reason that that percentage of total state dollars has declined is that it has, the number of students on K-12 has dropped basically from 170,000 to 120,000. So there's many, many more aspects of it here, and I'll look forward to discussing those with you. Should physicians and pharmacists be allowed to refuse to write or fill prescriptions? In my judgment, no. I have consistently not gone along with that type of legislation. I think that the area of government coming in and allowing those types of things to occur is not consistent with the role of a doctor, a physician, or a pharmacist, and that type of legislation, in my judgment, should not be on the books. This is one of the most challenging areas that we have in the entire education process in the state. And it's one that needs some attention, and it's an area that is tied in very closely with poverty or economics or jobs, and as such, I think the answer to this issue lies, not primarily, but an important part of it lies in getting good quality economic jobs for the Native Americans so that they are able to provide some of those opportunities with their families and address some of those concerns. On the state level, I think that we have to reach out, and just as in a formula funding thing, we take the wealth wherever it is in the state and provide it for the students according to need. And I think that we need to recognize there is a greater need among some of the Native American students for funding, for opportunities, for educational advancement, and as such, that needs to be taken as a higher priority, I think, in the state. I think part of the answer lies in the economic development, whether it's the homestake at LEAD and the Diesel project and bringing in and increasing the employment, not only in that area, the scientific through the higher ed with the School of Mines and the other institutions in the state to bring in those quality people that can and will work there. It also ties in very closely with the Western Dakota Tech. We need to improve our tech schools all across this state, and by doing so, those people will stay here in the state and will have the jobs. Right now, I think you can see that many of them can go to Wyoming for 3 times what they can earn right here. We need to work on that and train these people and then see that there are jobs available. Rapid City, I think, is doing fairly well in this area. The center part of the state is losing population, both ends. Sioux Falls is doing very well, and Rapid as far as the economic development. And I think through the tax that we have and the tax increments and the other incentives to bring in and provide for economic development is making a difference in our region, and will provide for that to continue moving on. So, but education is still one of the key parts to it, both higher ed, VOTEC, and then working with the private sector as well as the other businesses in the area. Again, thanks to the DIA for your involvement in the community. I've had the pleasure of serving this district for 3 terms. I would ask your support to go back for 1 more term. I have I'm Vice Chair of Education for the past 4 years, and with the turnover that we have, there's a good possibility, if I am returned, that I would serve as chair. In that position, I would work very hard to address the education concerns, and I think in a nutshell, what we have to do is to get bipartisan support, put it on the ballot, and give the public an opportunity to support education through some increased taxes. And I think that can be done, and as my commitment and so on, that will be, I'll be working on consolidation and a few other items.